All right, hello everyone. It's Monday, March 24th, 2025. We are here for another episode of the He Said, She Said Sports Talk podcast. And we are your hosts. I am Big Red. This is Tony. Hello, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. Crazy weekend.
Yes, crazy weekend of more bracketology, March Madness, uh, games going on, a lot of games going on in the men's and the women's. But we'll start with the men's. Um, Kind of just do a little brush. That's the word I'll use, a little brush through of the tournament down to the Sweet 16.
How are
How
your
do you?
picks doing?
Uh, um, I was doing all right the first round after the first round, obviously, but I had picked a lot of upsets, so I did well with some, but not so well with others. A couple games, like the Drake. I think everyone, as far as Drake,
Yeah,
picked
that was
Drake.
that was a favored upset that I think went really well for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, no, and Colorado State.
Yeah,
Uh, I picked them in the first round as well. Even though they end up losing to Maryland,
we'll
in
talk
that
about
game.
that. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk about that game. Yeah, definitely. But McNeese, I picked McNeese in the first round.
You know what?
Uh,
The second that I saw that team manager Amir Orakan, as soon as I saw him come out, I said, "You know what? I should have picked the damn upset." Because that guy has enough aura for that whole
it's
team.
always somebody every year in March Madness that's giving their team some kind of aura. I swear.
Do you see the NIL deals he's getting?
No, no, I didn't, but
Bro
I
is
wouldn't be
walking out.
surprised.
He's got like crazy NIL deals after the first time that they posted him. That tracksuit that he walked out in the second game,
Uh-huh.
that was that was some kind of NIL deal. Let me see. It's like crazy. He, yeah. Household name, Amir Ora Khan, huh? Who would have thought it'd be a manager? But he's got
Yeah.
NFL deals with like Buffalo Wild Wings, Tops, trading cards,
Top
Insomnia
trading cards.
Cookies, TurboTax,
Okay.
Fortnite.
He eating good for sure. Insomnia cookies and Buffalo Wild Wings. He
It
definitely eating
was
good.
insane.
No, that's what's up. Tops cards. Yeah, definitely. I got some Tops cards myself, but no, that's what's up. Yeah, no, McNeese definitely put off the upset, but they ended up losing to Purdue, obviously. But they had a good run for sure. And we both were right about BYU.
Oh yeah.
They
I
look
told you it's
dangerous.
that intangible thing. It's that
Yeah.
intangible thing about how dynamic that they play. And I
Hmm.
still can't put my finger on it after watching them for two games. It's just there's just something about them
Yeah.
that's yeah, it's been fun to watch though.
To me, that game against Wisconsin, to me, was the best game of the tournament so far. To me, um, I was in Nashville, out of town, and I sat and watched that whole entire game. It was like the closest game too, as far as down to the end. I mean, that and the Maryland game, which we'll talk about, obviously. But it was just a great game. Wisconsin just kind of fumbled it at the end. But
Yeah.
no, definitely BYU has mojo going for sure. They look dangerous. They'll play Alabama though. It'll be tough, but you never
The round
know.
of 32 games they were all pretty close. I mean, that Florida UConn game we'll talk about too. I mean,
Hmm.
close games in the round of 32, but some of the ones that I was right about, some of the safer picks that I was right about that I want to touch on, where everybody was really high on either like the Liberty over Oregon 5-12 matchup and the 13 Akron over number 4 Arizona, both of which did not happen. And not only did they not happen, but Oregon and Arizona came to play. They
Yeah.
absolutely dominated. Arizona won that opening matchup 93 to 65 against Akron,
Hmm.
and Oregon beat Liberty 81 to 52. So they absolutely spanked these two teams. And everything that
Yeah.
we said about Akron and how great of a team they are, that still holds true. But I said to you, Arizona outsizes them and out physicals them, and that's going to
Mm.
be the killer. And they just buried them.
Yeah. No, they did for sure.
They never let them get a
100%.
chance. It's crazy.
No, definitely. 100%. Now Arizona though, they'll face Duke, which will be tough, you know.
Duke
We'll
looks
make
like the number one team right now.
Yeah, them in Florida.
Yeah. Well, like
Florida,
Florida played a close game. Duke beat up pretty good in the round of 32. Duke
yeah,
beat
no,
Taylor
definitely.
by over 20 points. So,
Hmm. But I think this game with Arizona will definitely be Duke's toughest test. Um,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, Duke's dangerous. Only, and the reason why I think they won those games by that margin was because of the other people besides Cooper Flag. Like
Other
they
people
put
stepped
up,
up.
yeah, put up big numbers as far as scoring and career highs and stuff like that. So if they play like that, then good luck.
Yeah.
But you know,
I'm
uh,
honestly not sure Arizona's that good. Like the reasons
they're
that
just
people wanted to
inconsistent.
take the upset were fair. They're very inconsistent, and I'm not sure that they're all that good. And neither is Oregon. I just think
Yeah.
they got good draws because of
Hmm.
good matchups. But then when they played, I mean, they played a pretty close game in that second round there, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a good game by any.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was a hard watch.
It definitely was.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just think I think Arizona probably was going to play them a little closer than what people think. But we'll see. Duke will definitely if they're playing how they played, good luck. But I think it'll be closer than what people think for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I was definitely disappointed that my guys at UC San Diego weren't able to pull it out. They came so close to a win over Michigan in that opening round.
hmm
And it was the first time that UC San Diego was eligible for the tournament. They've been a Division I team for 5 years now, 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
now, and it was the first time they were eligible. And both their men's and women's teams made it. And how awesome is that? They both lost in the opening round, but very, very cool. And some of the players asked to take their little ID tags for the
hmm
post-game press conferences, and I'm glad they got to walk away with a souvenir from the tournament. They played Michigan to a good game. So,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. A team that would have, if they would have kept winning, and that probably would have been the most hated team in the tournament right now, would have been North Carolina.
yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, they won that game against San Diego State.
Oh, they
Uh,
dominated that game.
yeah, they definitely did. But if they would have pulled it off against Ole Miss, it would have been bad. That they would have just been a hated team. People would have still been talking about why they got in. But
Yeah, but
I
I mean,
think it
I
would have
wonder
been
if
kind of
people will
interesting.
question it even more now because they lost their opening matchup.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, they're definitely going to question it, and I know West Virginia is definitely the main team that's questioning it
Yeah.
because they definitely felt like they should have got in. But no, let's talk about the Sweet 16 matchups. And
Well, let's talk about the round of 32 first and some of those outcomes because we have
hmm
to talk about the Maryland Colorado State game.
oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Let's talk about that for sure. Maryland ended up winning that game at the end by shooting a shot that looked like to me he took about 4 steps and traveled.
At least 3 steps, at least. That was
Yeah,
the
definitely.
weirdest angle I've ever seen a shot taken, first and foremost. But
Yeah, he hit it
Dairy
off the glass.
Queen took at least 3 steps, and it decided the game, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to call a travel there. Even if you're kind of letting that shit go at certain points,
hmm
that's the moment you have to call that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
some of this. shit that I give the NBA all the time is that there are no rules, right? And that's why we like
Uh-huh.
college basketball better sometimes, is because there's a little more structure. The NBA plays very
Yeah.
loose and fast with the rules right now. If we're gonna start playing loose and fast with the rules, why are they there? That's a walk. If you look up textbook
Hmm.
officiating, that's a walk. And they
Yeah.
should have lost that game.
No, they definitely should have lost that game. It definitely was a walk. I've been hearing a lot of people saying that, oh, the new NBA day, that's not a walk. I don't care if it's new NBA day, old NBA day. That is too many steps to allow a person to have to get a shot off at, especially at that crucial part of the game. But I wouldn't care if any part of the game. I wouldn't care if it was the first play of the game. That's a travel that should have been called, but obviously it wasn't. So Maryland moves on, but
I'm a
definitely
big proponent of consistent
unfortunately for
officiating.
Colorado State because I had picked them to beat Maryland actually. So with that call, if that call had been made, that would have happened. But man, definitely was a bad call.
I was rooting for the upset too. I mean, like we're getting to a point, we're getting to a Sweet 16 now with very, very little. I mean, a 10 seed is the lowest seed in the Sweet 16. When was the last time that
Hmm.
happened? You always see like an 11 or 12 seed in there.
Yeah,
Some kind of
yep,
Cinderella run team. We don't have
yeah.
that.
No, it's not. I don't have that this year. Yeah, definitely don't.
It's not
The
gonna help.
only
It's not gonna help men's
the
basketball's ratings right now.
The only 10 seed we have, which is really not a 10 seed in some people's eyes, is Arkansas, who beat St. John. Um, took out Rick Pitino and them boys, even though I was rooting for Rick Pitino and them to win that game. But Arkansas played well and they looked tough with
They
under
played
Tyler
well, they
Card.
looked tough, and St. John's, their biggest problem came back to bite them in the butt, which is they play an incredible defense, but they struggle to score the ball at times.
Yeah. Hmm. They had drops
Struggle
at
to score the
times for
ball in that game.
sure.
Yeah, they
Definitely.
couldn't score. Uh,
Hmm.
Florida UConn was a much closer game than we expected.
Yeah, definitely was. UConn's a tough team. I mean,
They're the
I
reigning
can't really.
national champions.
Yeah, I can't take
They're going
nothing
to come
away
in
from them.
with
Yeah,
a little bit
yeah,
grit to them, being
yeah.
eight
They
seed.
went all. They played all out. They, played with like they had nothing to lose. Obviously, being the defending champs and the underdog in that game.
Yeah, but Dan
Florida.
Hurley had some comments after the game that I didn't love. Look, when you're a head coach, you have to act with a lot of class, a lot of grace, a lot of respect. And it's hard.
He definitely had
I
some
mean, we as
comments.
fans don't always do that, but it is your job as a coach. And on his
To
way
keep your
out,
composure.
yeah, on his way out, they were passing incoming team. I think it was Baylor that was incoming
Uh
coming
huh.
into the next games. And he kind of said to the whole Baylor team that kind of just generally directed at them. Um, in talking about the refs, he said to the Baylor team, I hope they don't fuck you guys like they fucked us. And so to blame
Yeah.
the refs for a loss like that, yeah, I get it. You're in the heat of the moment. You're a prisoner of the moment. But you got to keep your composure as a head coach. It's just such a bad look, and it was a
Hmm.
pretty viral moment because it got captured
Put
on
on
film,
blast. Yeah. Yeah.
and so it made the
I'm
rounds.
pretty sure there's a fine coming for that comment. I can pretty much
I
guarantee
mean,
that
we sit here and
something
criticize
coming.
the officiating too, so I get it.
Yeah,
I do, but you got to
and I
act with a little
understand it
more class
because
and a little more composure than that.
yeah, definitely he does. With the modern day era, everything just gets caught on camera or video or something, a
Everything's on video.
microphone. Yeah,
All right.
unfortunate.
How would you rank
But
we got left? We got some matchups coming up that are,
um,
I mean, they could be exciting. A couple of them.
yeah, you got a few pretty good ones. Like I said, I like the BYU Alabama. That's probably like my favorite one to see right now. With BYU rolling and Alabama's just such a strong team. They could one of the best scoring teams in the country, so that's going to be a good game. I'm actually interested. Obviously there's a lot of SEC teams left. ACC dropped the ball,
Big time.
obviously.
Louisville, Clemson, God.
Yeah, yeah. The only team left is Duke. So You know, if I had to pick odds to win it all out of SEC and ACC, I'm going SEC obviously because there's more teams. But
Right. SEC versus Field.
yeah, but no, Kentucky and Tennessee. I'm interested in that. Obviously, Kentucky beat them twice in the regular season, so like we always say, it's hard to beat someone three times
Yeah, I've
the
got
same
Tennessee
year.
winning that one. I had that matchup come up and I had
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we both had that matchup come up, and we both had Tennessee moving on. Yeah, I got Tennessee winning that game too, but I think that's going to be a good game for sure. Definitely tough game.
yeah.
But, Michigan and Auburn, I think that's another one. I think that's probably going to be one of the best games if it lives up to the standards.
Yeah, Michigan's played really well through this tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely. And Auburn is Auburn. They've been playing well all year long. So I mean, it's gonna be a good one. I got Auburn winning though. So Michigan State, Ole Miss. I got Michigan State winning that one.
Yeah, I have Michigan State as well. I think we're pretty similar from this point on.
Yeah, but
I know you got a different
I was
winner, but
completely wrong about Texas Tech and Arkansas. I
yeah,
didn't have neither of those teams in that spot.
I had
Um,
Texas Tech. I did.
yeah,
I
I
had
didn't.
Tech.
I had Drake. Remember, I had Drake going on that
Yeah,
run,
you
but
did.
unfortunately, it fell short. But yeah, I mean, Texas Tech and Arkansas. I'm gonna go with Arkansas. I
I mean,
mean,
they're playing like they're not playing like a 10 seed, that's for sure.
yeah, they're definitely not. And Calipari, he has that tournament magic, and they got
Yeah.
enough talent and weapons on that team to put it together. So, I mean, Texas Tech is tough. Don't get me wrong. Um, Interesting game, but I'll take Arkansas in that one for sure. Um,
Yeah. I might after watching these last couple games, I might do that as well.
what about Houston and Purdue? I didn't have Purdue in that spot.
I didn't have Purdue in that spot either. Purdue has a history of choking in moments like these.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, look, they did well last year, but just typically they've got a bit of a history of choking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that one is I'm gonna go on record. I also have Houston in the final. I mean, Houston's defense
Yeah.
is phenomenal. And I think if you disrupt a team like Purdue with that kind of history, as
hmm
soon as you disrupt them defensively, I think you can capitalize and take that game. And I do think that's what happens.
Yeah, definitely. No, give me Houston in that one. I got Houston winning that one too. I actually had them playing McNeese right there. Again, another one of
The
my
upsets,
underdog
the upsets.
picks, but no, Houston is just going to be too much for sure for
They just have
Purdue in
so
my
much
mind.
experience that Houston team.
Yeah,
There's so much depth to them and so
yeah,
much veteran experience on that team.
yeah. They're well put together for sure. They're a dangerous team for sure. If they won it all, I wouldn't be surprised. Even with Duke and Florida sitting out there, I wouldn't be surprised.
Same.
But
They're one seed for a reason.
yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, no, I got Houston in that one. Definitely. So that with our picks, did you pick the Ole Miss Michigan State? Who you got in that? I had Iowa State right
I have
where Ole
Michigan
Miss is.
State. I did pick that correctly, I
You
believe.
picked Ole Miss, yeah, yeah. I have Michigan State beating Ole Miss as well.
Yeah, I picked that correct. Um, and I have Michigan State winning there.
Okay, all right. So I think that's all for the Sweet 16. So with our picks that we made, do you got BYU beating Bama? I didn't think you. I told you that one.
I don't have them beating Alabama. I just
Okay,
think,
so you got Bama right there.
as you know, I have all four one seeds making the final four. I think the one seeds are showcasing why they're one seeds right now. And
hmm
every single one of them through this tournament so far has kind of proven that to me. And they still look like the top four teams to me.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Okay. All right, now so I think we did. Now we got all our picks in. So our with our picks that we just made, our Elite Eight matchups would be Auburn, Michigan State. Um,
Auburn,
you,
Michigan. No.
you
For what? For the Elite Eight?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Auburn, Michigan State. Then you have Florida. You have Texas Tech.
Yep.
Is that correct? I have Arkansas. Um, Duke versus Alabama for you, and I pick BYU. Then Houston versus Tennessee.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
I might take
Uh,
Arkansas in that Texas Tech Arkansas matchup.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
might. I might. I'm on the fence there.
All right. Well, let me know so because I already got you down for Texas Tech. So,
I'll go Arkansas. We'll get
all
freaky.
right, all right, all right. Cool, cool. All right. So you in Arkansas. All right. So, I mean, our final fours are pretty much still the same. Yeah.
Yeah, remains unchanged for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Still in it, pretty much. Okay. So, let's turn
I
to the
do think the men's tournament hasn't been super interesting. We've had a couple of
no.
No, we've had a couple of upsets. I mean, like McNeese was fun. McNeese was
I
fun.
get what you're saying because it's not like it's not a, it's just kind of like the numbers
But
are.
even the upsets that happened were like pretty favored upsets. I mean, people were definitely talking about McNeese coming into this tournament. People were definitely
Hmm.
talking about like Colorado State and Drake. Those were two teams that were being talked about as potential upsets. So it was almost unsurprising when it happened. Like I expected Drake to win that game.
No, yeah, me too. Obviously, but no, I get where you're coming from.
I
It's
expected BYU to beat Wisconsin. Like I wasn't super surprised by a lot of these. And
yeah.
yeah, we had a couple of close games, but I never felt like I was on the edge of my seat.
Well, what about the women's? Is that? I mean, it's like there's a lot there too.
As
With
I've
the
said, the women are always a little bit more seating oriented,
favorable.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's always a
yeah.
little more seating favorable. But I mean, Richmond, number 8 Richmond had UCLA tied
On the
at
ropes. Yeah.
halftime on the
We talked
road.
about that last night. I texted you last night. I said, "Are you watching this game right now?"
And I said, of course
Because
I am. Of course I am
yeah,
watching the game. But
yeah.
let's move on to the women. Let's start with Richmond, who
Hmm.
played 6 absolutely dominant quarters of basketball.
Definitely did.
Freaking awesome was that? I had Richmond winning that opening matchup too. So
You did. I had Georgia Tech.
I
Yeah,
was
you
happy
picked
to see them
Richmond.
there, but Maggie Dugan was phenomenal. She still, even despite the loss to UCLA, because they did ultimately, UCLA came back and
And
outscored them by
dominated
like
that second half.
24
Yeah,
points in the third
yeah.
quarter, which is unreal and proves why they're the number one team in the country.
Hmm.
But Maggie Dugan still finished with 27 points, 7 assists, 2 blocks.
Yeah.
That's a dominant performance
No,
from,
definitely.
from an A10 team. Like that's March Madness to me.
Definitely. For sure. No, shout out to Richmond. They definitely were dominating. They had me on the ropes for a second when I was watching the UCLA game. I literally just came in the
Everyone nervous.
house and I cut it on and I'm like, hold on. I'm like,
That everyone
UCLA?
nervous. I was loving it. I was loving it.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done. UCLA definitely too much for them, for sure. What are some of your other highlights from the women's?
Uh,
Uh,
well, I love being right. So South Dakota State with
don't
their
all women
upset.
love being right?
Yeah, we all know I love being. Who doesn't love being right? Um, South Dakota State beating Oklahoma State.
Mm,
That upset. I said to you, the Jackrabbits always find a way to win in these
yeah.
round matchups. Indiana, dominated Utah State from the jump. The
Hmm.
biggest disappointment for me had to be Vanderbilt. I think they beat themselves. That's
No,
kind of like
definitely.
I don't think that Oregon was the better team in that game. I think Vanderbilt didn't capitalize on opportunities. missed shots that they shouldn't have missed, and just the moment got too big for them. And that
Hmm.
could be something to say about it being, their star being a freshman, a true freshman,
Yeah.
and maybe the moment just got too big. But I'm
Yeah.
very excited for the future of that team. Um, I expected a better run from Creighton. I told you that Creighton team is the
Hmm.
that made almost the same team that made a deep run a few years ago. That experience and that leadership from them, I kind of expected more from them. So that
Yeah.
was a little bit disappointing. Um, but and then the biggest disappointment for me had to be Kansas State beating Kentucky. Georgia Amore missed that shot at the final seconds. And I mean, she said it. Her career should not be defined by a single shot. And I'm just so
We will
disappointed that
be.
that's the end of her career. Um, I don't think it will be. I think you'll look back on Georgia Amore's career, and there's so much there. I mean, she was incredible at Virginia Tech. Um,
Hmm.
Following her coach to Kentucky. She's put up great numbers. She's done wonders for that program, and I think she's going to be amazing in the league. She's a true point guard. And it's definitely something that the league is missing. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from Georgia Amore. But that was the biggest disappointment for me.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. The biggest disappointment for me was Ohio State. Don't get
I
me
told you
wrong.
that was going to happen.
The
I told you
women
that was
they
going to happen.
have they had a great year, don't get me wrong, but that Tennessee game, I could have pulled my hair out watching that game, literally. Um, Tennessee got up to a lead. Ohio State came back. They went on like a 17-2 run. They came back in the game, but they then Tennessee went on turned around and went on a 9-0 run. But and Ohio State had seven like almost 20 turnovers in the game, which is the reason why Tennessee was able to pull it off at the end. They just played so sloppy and uncontrolled. It was like they were rushing and they didn't have to. It was bad. I mean, that was like the worst game I've seen from them all year, and it came at the wrong time. Definitely, that was probably the most disappointing in that thing because I think they could have beaten Tennessee for sure. But a team that scares me is obviously UConn, man. I got them and I picked them to be in the national championship, but I picked Notre Dame for the upset. But I'm kind of regretting it now because
Same.
I
I mean,
mean the way they're playing,
I picked South Carolina to beat UConn. But
but
they are on a
man,
tear, and the way that they have backed Paige's determination to go out
hmm
there and win. But I mean, look, there's a lot of teams that look scary. This is the first time ever in NCAA tournament history we had six teams in the round of 64 score over 100 points.
100 points, yeah.
The other thing that I think
Hmm.
that speaks to is potentially the talent disparity that is in the women's game, and that opening round matchup is, you know, can sometimes be a little bit disappointing. But
Yeah,
100 plus points is crazy. I mean, six
yeah.
teams, and we've said that that top 10 is so dominant, and they went out
Hmm.
there and they were dominant. Like, I mean,
No, definitely, definitely were.
UConn looks scary, and Sarah Strong does not look like the moment is going to get too big for her.
No, yeah, she definitely doesn't. Fuzz as well. She's been balling too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
AZ looks awesome. They're gonna play tonight, right? Pretty much right after we're done
yeah.
recording.
Right after we're done, yeah.
Right
Uh-huh.
after we're done, they play, and I'm really excited about it. I
Yeah, no, LSU and Florida State were playing at right before we started the podcast. I was watching that game.
Yeah,
But
Alabama and Maryland are in overtime right now, and it does look like Maryland is gonna win that game. There's 8 seconds left, but
okay. So Alabama
I've
and
been keeping
Maryland.
my eye on it. I've got Maryland winning that game. They're in overtime.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. What about the Florida State game at LSU?
Flauge is back, baby.
Yeah, LSU?
She's back and she's
Because I
a
picked
powerhouse.
LSU. I picked LSU for sure to win that game. So I mean, as far as the Sweet 16 goes, um, I obviously got I mean UCLA versus Ole Miss. I did not have Ole Miss in that spot, but
No, I had Baylor there, um, on the backs of Aaronette Von Lay, but
hmm
uh, again, another really close game. The women have put up some close games, some interesting
yeah,
games as well. LSU, it looks like they're pretty dominant over Florida State right now.
okay.
So
So let's just say they
seems
pull it.
seems like they're gonna pull that out. They're in the third quarter, but they're up 15 right now. So
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what about the Kansas State versus USC?
I've got USC there. The top teams look like the top teams at the end of the day.
hmm Definitely. Um, Oklahoma, they'll play UConn. Is that correct? If I'm correct.
If UConn wins this game,
Yeah, if UConn wins against
South Dakota State.
South Dakota State.
They'll always give teams a little run for their money. They're always a bit of a surprise. So
Yeah,
this will be telling for UConn. It's a more challenging matchup than I think people realize.
yeah. No, definitely. I got UConn winning that one though for sure.
I do too, but yet to be determined. Hasn't happened yet.
hmm
We still got a couple games left to play today.
Yeah, definitely. Um, South Carolina, what do you think about their bracket that's left?
I mean, I've said it. I think South Carolina has one of the easiest paths to the national championship. Uh,
hmm
Even though, they were complaining about not being the number one overall seed, I actually think it makes their trip a little bit easier. Because I think if it is Maryland that ends up winning this game, which we'll find out in a second here, I think they could beat either Maryland or Alabama pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely, pretty easily. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then they got to face the winner of Duke and then whoever wins this North Carolina West Virginia matchup that's on that right now. And I
Okay.
think Duke is the weakest two seed.
Duke is the weakest two seed.
They are. I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, they
No,
were
no, for sure.
surprised
No,
in the
you're right.
ACC
You're right.
tournament.
My another team we need to talk about too is TCU and Haley Van Lith
Yeah, you
beating
know what?
Louisville.
I hated the online discourse that people were calling that a revenge game. It's not a revenge
Yeah,
game. She didn't
yeah.
leave Louisville on bad
On the
terms.
bat, yeah, yeah.
She
There was
left to go
no,
chase a ring. There was no bad blood. She's got nothing but great things to say about that program, her teammates, her coach.
yeah.
Like, but yeah, TCU looked great in that game. I mean,
Basically, the only storyline was is her playing against her old school she went to. That's
yeah,
basically
yeah. The online
was the
discourse got
storyline.
a little too much into revenge game, revenge game. Guys, no, no revenge game. That's not what that was. But she did go out against her old team and she
Yeah, she put up a
put up
double
awesome
double.
numbers. Yeah,
Yeah,
double double.
16, 10, and 5 rebounds. Yeah, she balled out for sure. They had like 4 players in double figures for TCU. So yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, TCU looks strong, although I think what ends up happening to TCU is I'm not sure that they're completely cohesive as a team.
hmm
So that could come back to bite them. Like their
Yeah.
unit doesn't seem as strong as some of the other team units, just from what you see online. I mean,
hmm
you saw some videos of them celebrating and dancing after the game, and it was pretty clear that some people, when they were dancing, were being cheered for and hyped up, and someone
Yeah.
in particular wasn't. And I don't know if that ultimately that team chemistry aspect. I don't know if they could put aside and just go play basketball. I mean, it seems like that's what they've been doing, but
hmm
you never know. Team chemistry is so important, and if you have the wrong people on your teams, even if they're talented, I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
times
it's not gonna
we call it
matter.
addition by subtraction sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, some people just aren't meant to be playing
No,
basketball.
definitely. Definitely. Let's talk about another number one seed, though. Let's talk about Texas and their matchup with the Volunteers, the Lady Vols. Um, what do you see in that matchup?
I think this could potentially be the closest game. I think Texas has looked the most vulnerable of the one seeds, and Tennessee has looked pretty dominant. I like
Hmm.
Tennessee's style. They sub five in, five out, full team. Um, and I think that's a good matchup against when you've got a powerhouse like Madison Booker.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting matchup. So I like it there.
No, definitely. I got Texas winning. I do think it'll be a close game, like you said. Um, I feel like it could be one of the best games as well, but I think Texas will be too much at the end. Um, they're a tough team. Um, but I think they kind of got an easy path too, but really until now, like until the next round, um, whether they'll face Notre Dame or TCU. Who you got out of that matchup? Because that's gonna
I still
seem
have
like
Notre Dame. I still have Notre Dame coming out of that matchup. Like I said, I think
yeah,
Notre Dame's been on a bit of a tear, and Hannah Hidalgo looks like she's got her groove back.
yeah, definitely. I got Notre Dame in that game as well. I got Notre Dame going all the way. They're my pick, so yeah, definitely give me Notre Dame for sure. But so for I know all the games aren't played yet, but are your picks still the same as far as the Final Four? Are you still looking good?
My picks are still the same. They still look good to me. I still feel very confident about the Final Four. Um, I If you had asked me last night at halftime of that UCLA game, I might have
Hmm.
said NC State's got a really good chance. But the way that UCLA was able to make halftime adjustments, come out and be a
Man,
completely different team, even if NC State gives them a run, I think that UCLA has proven why they're a championship contender. It's
yeah.
championship teams are the teams that are able to go and make those kinds of adjustments.
Hmm. No, definitely, definitely. I like that matchup actually. Like I said, I got UCLA winning it, but North Carolina could definitely keep that close, 100% for sure in my mind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, that's not to say they got to go out and win their Sweet 16 games, but that's who we've got right now.
No,
It's
definitely.
all
Uh,
speculative, but yeah,
no, you wanted to
if those two
speak
face
on the
off.
Ivy League. Did you want to speak on the Ivy League?
Oh, just that it was a bit of a disappointment. I was really high on the Ivy League, and they all kind of, I mean, all three teams lost their matchups, so just disappointing because I thought that that league was so competitive this year. But
Hmm.
that's what happens. You see them all play against each other. They look really good against each other, and then they go play different competition and
Well,
power four competition, and doesn't have the same result.
no, definitely, definitely. That's unfortunate. But I wanted to talk about Juju. I know she plays tonight. They play Mississippi State. How do you feel about Mississippi State?
I've always been high on Mississippi State. I like them a
I
lot.
figured that. Yeah, I remember you said that last week that you were high on Mississippi State.
Yeah, just I mean it's going to be a battle, but uh, there are many reasons to say that Juju is a better basketball player than Caitlin Clark. She's so good.
Hmm.
She's so dominant. And she's locked in for sure. She's
Yeah.
locked in. Um, so I mean, I don't have a different outcome coming out of that game, but
Uh-huh.
I think they'll give them a battle. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Me too. I got USC winning in that game too to move on to play UConn. But no, definitely. Did you see the thing with Jaden Daniels and her and the crowd and his
Yeah,
mom come over there?
look, guys, first and foremost, people are allowed to be friends. Okay. It doesn't
You
have
know,
to be a dating thing.
yeah,
It was
dating
definitely
thing. Yeah,
interesting that his mother moved between them, which,
yeah.
I
And
mean,
she was upset. She was like low key embarrassing him. You know, when you look and when you watch the video, you know, she's kind of like telling him, like, you know, don't be sitting here talking to no girls. And, you know, he's just like looking away and, you know, trying not to look up. And, you know, Juju's just looked so uncomfortable after it happened. It was pretty funny to me. But
I am not going
man,
to speculate what the hell was going on there, but
talking about mama's boy
listen,
though.
we all know that Jaden Daniels and his mama have a special relationship and that she is very
Set nah.
invested. She is very invested in that boy's career,
For
and
sure, which
she's
is nothing wrong
she's
with
been
that.
very public about the lack of distractions. She's pro no distractions, no girls, no nothing.
Well, I'm gonna
But
say this about that. This is all I'm gonna say about it. And you know, people feel how they feel, but you know, I get it, 100% where his mom is coming from. But as a man, at the end of the day, you have to be able to trust what you taught your son and raise them up to be. You feel me? There's a
yeah,
comes a certain point of time because you're not going to be able to coddle him forever. And the longer you do, especially into his adulthood, it's going to have a later effect on him. You know, he needs to go through certain experiences that he's not dealing with right now. And I'm not saying,
I'm also gonna say Juju ain't no influencer TikTok girly.
yeah,
She got her own bag. She got her own
yes,
career,
she don't
and
need his money
she don't
for
need his
sure.
money. And she also understands the time commitment and dedication and the drive. Like I think if that's a thing, I'm
It's
excited
a good
about it.
thing. Yeah, they
I'm
look good
excited
together for
about it.
sure.
And like they're way too young for me to even make this comment. But
Yeah.
like those babies will be superstars in whatever fucking sport they decide to play. I mean,
Yeah.
like
I know, right?
those would be like monster kids. Like just
Yeah, yeah.
I'm breeding
Hella
them.
athletic.
Just
Athletic babies for
it's a little
sure.
weird to say because they are so young. But like,
Yeah.
oof, could you imagine like how
Hmm.
talented they both are and how athletic they both are? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a superhuman baby.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you know, she gotta trust him and let him flap his wings, you know. Obviously, you know, it's good to keep an oversee on it, but man, uh
Listen,
it was a little embarrassing.
if
It
he's
was real
okay with his
embarrassing.
relationship with his mom, like it's not our place, but it didn't look great. And I
It
think the
definitely didn't.
broadcast team, I'm gonna say it, they did them dirty. They did them dirty. They didn't even have to go to it. They did not have to flash to it. And they certainly did not have to talk about it as much as they did.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't. They definitely didn't. But it's like they made it like a little romance novel themselves, the announcers, you know, basically.
They
It's
drove
like
the
what they were
narrative.
doing.
They
Yeah,
drove the narrative that way. Like
yeah, definitely.
all you know, I mean, like those two, I think they both grew up in California area, right? So
They did. Yeah,
they
Jaden
could just
Daniels from
know each
California.
other from being like star athletes. You never know. So
Hmm.
the way that the broadcast drove the narrative is what's driving now our conversations and the next media conversation.
Yeah. And
So
then the mom's reaction too is kind of what drove it too. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, it was like the announcers made the cake and the mom kind of put the cherry on top of it. Like,
yeah, definitely an unfortunate, like that could have been, a semi-private moment for them. Like it didn't have to
yeah.
be broadcast on the air, especially if
Hmm.
it is romantic. Like clearly, like they're two young kids, and
Yeah.
that's just so unnecessary to publicize like that. But
No,
rating,
definitely.
I guess, is what it came down to. They panned for some ratings, some TikTok
Yeah,
views.
no. Definitely no, but yeah, no, definitely. We'll touch more on the women's definitely next week. I mean, like we said, we still got some games
Yeah,
um going on, but
could all go
this
sideways.
Yeah, yeah. All our picks could go sideways for sure. Especially with the women's games are getting better, and close teams are getting better and better and harder each week. But opening day for baseball is this
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, the MLB opening day is coming up. The Los Angeles Dodgers obviously are defending champs. They're the odds favorite to win it all again.
Hmm.
But who do you like? You said you like the Mets. How do you feel about your Mets?
I'm a Mets fan and I'm excited about it. I mean, obviously we have the addition of Juan Soto. That was huge
Hmm.
for us in the off
Yeah,
season.
his
Re-signed
contract was stupid, wasn't it?
stupid.
Yeah,
Re-signed Pete Alonso. So I mean, we're poised to potentially have the best offense in our
yeah, no,
team
definitely
history.
for
Like
sure.
that's and one of the best offenses in the MLB this year. Like that's
Hmm.
definitely a doable thing for the Mets this year. So I am definitely excited about it. The pitching rotation is definitely where we've had the most ups and downs. I mean, like I think Sean Monet is going to be out all season. He's got an
Hmm.
oblique strain. He's out for a good
Yeah,
time. Um, and Senga's just getting to full strength. So definitely some interesting moves in the bullpen. Um, We brought in Clay Holmes. We're bringing him into the starting rotation, turning him into a starter. Definitely the most interesting offseason move we made outside of Soto.
no,
Um,
definitely.
so I like that. I think I'm excited about it and could potentially be a turning point for us. He could be a breakout star. Um,
Hmm.
And I mean, he's got a cool bag of tricks, so I'm excited to see him as a starter.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. Yeah, definitely. I don't really have a favorite team in baseball, should say. I've always just liked players. Um, but I mean, I'm from Ohio, obviously. I root for the Ohio teams. I root for the Guardians and the Reds. Guardians are usually better than the Reds. But the Reds are coming up a little bit. But no, definitely. As far as odds to win the World Series this year, the Guardians are top 10. I think they are like 10th.
Who's the
You
top
got
five odds-on favorites?
a top five odds on favorites. Obviously, you got the Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers at one, Atlanta Braves two, New York Yankees three, your Mets at four, and the Phillies at five. And I like the Phillies too a little bit. I don't know if it's just because I'm an Eagles fan, but I like Bryce Harper for sure. He's a Buckeye fan too. So
I'll pass on the Phillies, you know.
now I fuck with Bryce Harper for sure though.
He's been
But
popping off on TikTok. I mean,
as it
have you seen him on TikTok? He's out here.
uh
I hate him for making me like him, but he's out here like on TikTok showing us all his recipes. He's baking fucking banana bread as
oh
like the
for real.
world is ending around us, and I mean,
Bryce Harper
it's
baking
just
banana bread
hilarious.
in
It
his
was
off
like
season.
it was not on my 2025 bingo card to hear that TikTok was going to be taken away from us at the start of the year, and then
Hmm.
literally right at the start of the year, Bryce Harper is just like, "Here's my recipe for banana bread. Here's here's what I drink every day. Here's the coconut water I drink." And
I'm at to look him up on TikTok now that you said that. I'm at to
it's
check him
just
out.
wild. Like he's like, here's how I make what I eat. And like
Yeah.
he's just an interesting dude. And yeah, shame on him for making me like him. Cause
Yeah, no,
I
Bryce definitely a good player, great player for sure, you know. Andy, like I said, he's a Buckeye fan, which I don't know how that came about with him, but hey, go Bucks. But no, your Mets though, like I said, they're 10-1 odds to the World Series, so they're
don't
at
let us
four.
be the favorite. You know what I mean? Like let us sit in that fourth, fifth.
Yeah, yeah, I'm about to say
That's
you don't
where
want to be
we
the favorite.
thrive, okay? We
Yeah.
thrive being underrated. Like that's what happened last
Hmm.
year. Nobody expected it.
No,
And it
definitely.
was a wild ride. So I mean, let us come from behind, okay? Don't sit us in.
Yeah, you got the Yankees in front of y'all. I mean, I'm sure you're not a Yankees fan with being a Mets fan.
No, 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 no.
Aaron Judd, reigning MVP.
They played a spring training game today. I think it ended up in a tie.
Oh,
Those Mets
okay.
and Yankees played spring training today.
And then obviously the good thing about baseball season starting too is the weather's breaking. Spring is coming. For some people, spring is already here, but unfortunately for us, you know, where we stay, our weather is a little tricky.
Not
We
quite.
got,
Pouring
yeah,
rain and super cold
yeah, it's
today.
gust of wind. It's gust winds here where I'm at. It's like 30, 45 mile per hour winds. It's like cold
Yeah, it's been
outside.
windy and rainy all day here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
So
rained my trip back from Nashville to here, it rained, thunderstorm the whole way, whole drive back sucked.
baseball is the
Terrible.
only thing that keeps us going in that July stalemate of no
June, July,
sports.
yeah, right
So
before August, before football comes back around, definitely. So now it's 14 games going on opening day, so yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I'm sure people are gonna be excited about that, definitely. Let's talk about I got a question for you. And you can just give me your opinion, however, which I'm sure, like
yeah,
every time, how you do. But
I don't hide
how do
my
you?
opinion well.
Yeah. How do you feel about college football teams not having a spring game because just due to the fact that they don't want other teams to see their players and try to get them in the portal, in the transfer portal? There's a lot of teams that's been going around stating that they will not be having spring practice or it will not be recorded or televised or however they're doing it. Some teams are just not doing it. So, how do you feel about that? And what's your take on
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I've definitely said it before. I like that the transfer portal is now available to players, but I think it needs so many more boundaries and so many more rules because taking away spring ball it sucks, right?
Yeah, it sucks. It's
And
whack.
the
Yeah.
one thing that I side, I don't know if you saw Deion Sanders' comments, but I side more on his side here, where
Hmm.
I don't want them playing spring games against themselves, like practice games. I'd like to see some competitive spring football. And
Yeah.
Dion went out there and he said to play a competitive game against your own team, like it's kind of monotonous and the level isn't really there because you know
Yeah.
your teammates. So what he wants to do is practice against someone for a few days and then play a competitive spring game. And
Hmm.
how awesome immediately Fran Brown got on the television, got on the phone,
Syracuse head coach.
Syracuse head coach Fran Brown
Yeah.
was like, "Hey,
Fran Brown.
we'll come to Colorado. We'll do it." So now
Hmm.
they are petitioning the NCAA bylaws about teams playing other programs in the spring. So hopefully that gets all squared away. And on a personal note, I'm a Syracuse alum, and my brother is about to be a Colorado alum this May.
Yeah, your brother's at Colorado.
So
Yeah. So
that's
that's gonna
really
be,
cool. And if that
yeah,
does happen,
that's
this spring,
dope.
my brother will still be there, and you best believe I'll be dragging my butt out
Yeah, going to head out to Colorado.
to
Yeah,
Colorado,
yeah.
decked out in my Syracuse stuff, him and his Colorado stuff. That'd be
Uh-huh.
awesome.
Little
Um,
battle of the schools,
both head coaches are
sibling
incredible.
battle.
Yeah, both head coaches are incredible. I really respect both head coaches. Two black men, two really powerful black men to have the opportunity to do that.
Hmm.
I know that means a lot to Fran Brown, and I'm sure that
Yeah,
means a lot to Dion as well. And they're two iconic figures in college football right now. And I love the way that Dion is just leading a charge to new pushing the boundaries, right?
yeah,
College
definitely. I
football.
mean, as far as that goes, what you news you just broke on that with Dion and Fran Brown offering to do a little week of spring practice and then do a spring game against each other. I'm totally for that. I mean, um,
That
the
decision should
NFL.
come out April 10th, by the way.
which is pretty
The
soon. Yeah,
E1 FBS Oversight Committee meets on April 10th and could decide to allow that waiver. Sorry, not to
yeah, that's
interrupt
pretty
you,
soon. No,
just
no, no,
giving
no,
the
you're
update
good.
on when we could have that information.
No, you're good. Like I said, I'm so for that. I mean, like I said, because it brings more competition. Like I said, the NFL does it with the fall camps and stuff. They practice against other teams before they start the preseason games. Why not? It just brings more competition and as far as like, because your own going against your own players, yeah, you hit, you do stuff, you're working hard, but you're not going as hard as you would if you went against other players. You're not doing full technique and full skill as you would against other players, from a different team. So I'm totally for that, definitely. As far as the spring games being canceled, I am like you said, I'm not for that. I just don't like that you're canceling the spring ball. I mean, the transfer portal, that's just part of it. Now I can understand it if for the small schools maybe, that don't want the big schools kind of like watching their games and trying to recruit players to their school. But like the Power Five schools and the major schools, I just don't see what the complaining is about. And
I think for
you
the
had a few teams cancel. You had a lot of teams cancel that, like Nebraska canceled theirs. I think, and I don't understand
it's depth
why.
pieces. They're afraid of losing their depth pieces.
Yeah,
The smaller schools to other schools who are going to offer them NIL money or something like that, right? These big Power
hmm
Four schools,
but that's
they
just
have
a
a
part
lot
of
of
the game, like you
they have
said.
a lot of depth pieces. It's part of the game now, but it wasn't
But
always.
yeah, the NIL does need some changing of the rules. They do need to restructure some of the things that they're doing to make things so open and kind of really illegal in a way with the tampering thing. Um, like I said, I agree with you that the teams need to practice and have the spring games. That just doesn't make sense to not do that. And it's a thing that the fans love too. Like a lot of fans come out and watch those practices. It brings the fans in with part of it, and to me, it just builds the competition more when you have a spring game coming. Like in my opinion, especially for the guys that get into school early and want to try to make a name for themselves, make a case for themselves. They go out there and they have a good game in that spring game and get some film that the coaches can see, that is more helpful for them than harmful. So, I don't know. I just don't agree with not having spring games for sure. Definitely.
Definitely time for the NCAA to reevaluate NIL, the transfer portal, and how it's affecting all of these things. Because again, this is another consequence of the transfer portal that nobody really thought of or saw coming. And
Hmm.
just didn't exist until it existed, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and I think these big schools didn't realize, like, hey, some of our key depth pieces, like if our players get hurt or things like that, our second string guys, our third string guys, they're going to go be a star somewhere else if they can jump into the transfer portal and either make
Yeah.
more money or go be a star somewhere else. And so that's definitely something that I don't think they considered. And the small schools didn't consider, hey, maybe my star is going to get taken away and brought in somewhere bigger as a depth piece and just is going to want to go to the bigger school. So it works both ways. And
Yeah, I just don't think the spring practice is going to determine that. Like, even if let's just say, like Nebraska, they cancel their spring practice, right? Okay, you might hide that player for the season, but once the season starts, people are still going to see him, obviously, and have film on him. So that next off season, they can literally just do the exact same thing. It just it does. I don't see why the spring game would be the thing that you would want to cut out to try to prevent that when you really can't in the long run anyway. If you're going, because if that player is good, he's going to be on the field, and if he's on the field, that means there's film on him. So I mean, like you said, it does go both ways, but I just don't understand it. I don't. I'd rather them guys have a spring game for sure than glorified practice or autograph signing for the fans or whatever the hell they're gonna do
I want
other
to see
than
a competitive spring
spring
game. I'd
game.
like to see them play other
Yeah,
teams.
I like to see other teams, 100%. That would be
I'm with
dope.
Dion here. I'd like to see
Yeah,
them play other teams.
that would be dope for sure. I wouldn't care who it was. I wouldn't care if it was like a small school wanting to go play Ohio State, practice against Ohio State. I would love that because it kind of helps those teams get better going up against bigger schools. So I'm all for that, 100%, definitely. But yeah, no. I guess that's all the time we have. Next week, obviously, we'll touch more on the brackets and get into that stuff and whatever other news comes out as far as NFL. But
Maybe we'll finally have some Aaron Rodgers news next week.
yeah, yeah, hopefully, and some Russell Wilson, wherever the hell it's going to happen with that, and the Steelers. Man, they're a mess right now, if you ask me. To me, they'll be at the bottom of y'all's division for sure.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely without a quarterback, they will be. So,
I feel like they're going to be them or the Browns will be at the bottom of the division is going to come between y'all and Baltimore for sure. In my mind, Cincinnati and Baltimore.
you know
It'll
what else
be
I'd love? I'd love some Trey Hendrickson news for you guys next week.
yeah, yeah, that too. They talking about him sitting out and all that. I don't want to hear all that. And I definitely don't want him to sit out. The sack leader
Getting out
sitting
at
out is
30 sucks. That's such
yeah,
a
just
waste of
taking
a season.
fines. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, no, definitely. But no, I'm your host, Big Red, and this is Tony. We appreciate y'all watching the He Said, She Said Sports Talk podcast. We will see you guys next week. And as always, it's love and peace.